are controlling you. In a world where connections are everything, the secret to success lies in your ability to influence others. If you want to dominate in life, whether it's business, friendships, or even your personal happiness, this book is your blueprint. It's time to master the art of influence. Right now, you will learn the tools to win people over, make them trust you, and put you on the path to unparalleled success. Chapter 1. Stop trying to win arguments. You're wrong if you think winning arguments makes you stronger. You don't need to prove you're right. In fact, you need to stop trying to win arguments altogether. You know why? Because when you argue, you don't just lose the argument. You lose the person. People aren't swayed by your rightness. They're swayed by your ability to communicate, to listen, to understand. But most people, especially in business, in relationships, in life, think the goal is to win. I'm here to tell you, winning arguments doesn't win respect. It builds walls. You know that feeling when you prove you're right, but it feels empty. That's because you've just built a barrier between you and the other person. You've lost the person. You have a choice. You can either win the argument and lose the connection, or you can lose the argument and gain the relationship. I'm telling you right now, choose the relationship. The futility of arguments, let's break it down. When was the last time you won an argument? Maybe you convinced someone that you were right. Maybe they backed down, but guess what? That's not a win. That's compliance, not agreement. You're not influencing them. You forced them into submission, but submission isn't loyalty. Submission isn't trust. Arguing doesn't prove you're right. It proves you're unwilling to listen. And when people see you as someone who won't listen, they won't respect you. They'll avoid you. They'll give you the shallow yes, but the deeper connection, it's gone. I want you to understand something very clearly. Arguing is the easiest way to lose people. You think it's about being right. It's not. It's about listening, it's about understanding, and it's about finding common ground. Winning an argument is not the goal. Winning the person's trust is. That's the key. You don't need their permission to speak your truth. You don't need to be right to be respected. What you need is influence. And you can't influence anyone if you don't first listen. Principle of avoidance, here's the deal. The principle of avoidance is simple. Don't argue. Don't waste your time. The more you argue, the more you alienate people. Period. No one wins in an argument. The louder you fight for your position, the harder it is to hold onto any respect or influence. Think about this. If you win the argument but lose the person, what have you really won? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All you've done is proven to them that you'll never listen to their side, that you'll never value their perspective. So they walk away, and you're left with nothing but an empty victory. So, when you're in a discussion and it's heading for a confrontation, step back. The true winner is the person who can avoid the argument without backing down. You can hold firm to your beliefs and still not get dragged into a pointless fight. It's not about giving in. It's about realizing that the battle you're fighting is one that has no value. If you're right, you don't need to argue. If the other person sees your point of view, they will come to you. If they don't, forcing the issue will only push them further away. You can win people over by showing them respect, by giving them space to express their ideas. Avoid arguments, and you create an environment where both sides feel heard and understood. And that's how you build influence. Real-world application. Let me give you a real-world application. Imagine you're in a business negotiation. You know your product is superior, and you're in a room with people who are skeptical. You're presenting your points, but one person, let's call him Tom, keeps challenging every single point you make. He's being difficult, combative, and frankly annoying. What do? Most people would try to prove their point. They'd argue with Tom. They'd point to studies, figures, data, anything to make their case stronger. They want to win. But what happens? Tom digs in even more. He's not listening to you. You're not listening to him. The meeting goes nowhere. Now here's a different approach. Instead of arguing, you say this. I see your point, Tom. I understand why you're skeptical. Can you tell me more about your concerns? You've just turned the tables. Instead of battling him, you've invited him into a conversation. Now, Tom is talking and you're listening. You don't need to argue to influence him. You need to show him respect and understanding. Now, Tom feels heard. You've softened the situation. You haven't given up your position, but you've opened the door for collaboration. You've moved away from confrontation and into cooperation. That's where the magic happens. And guess what? The next time Tom will come to you, not because you were right, but because you treated him with respect. This isn't just about business. This works in your relationships, in friendships, in every conversation. You want to influence people? Stop arguing. Focus on understanding them. That's how you win. The power of listening over arguing, I can't stress this enough. Listening is more powerful than arguing. When you listen, you send a signal that you value the other person's thoughts, ideas, and opinions. And that creates connection. Connection builds trust. Trust builds influence. Now you might think, but if I listen, they'll never know I'm right. That's not true. Listening doesn't mean you lose. It means you respect the other person enough to understand where they're coming from. And when you respect someone, you gain the power to influence them. Take a moment and think about the last time you had a conversation where the other person truly listened to you. How did it make you feel? Now think about the last time someone interrupted you, didn't let you finish, or only wanted to argue. Which one made you feel more valued? Which one made you more open to their ideas? Now imagine that you can create that same environment for others. You don't need to argue. You need to listen. That's the secret to influence. You have a choice. You can keep fighting for every win and lose the people around you, or you can let go of the need to win arguments and start winning relationships. That's how you gain influence. Not through conflict, but through respect. Not through being right, but through understanding. The next time you're in a discussion, remember, you don't have to argue. You don't have to prove you're right. You just have to listen. You'll be amazed at how much more you gain by stepping back and showing respect. This is the first step in transforming your interactions and your life. Now let's move on. You mastered the art of avoiding conflict. Now let's talk about the true power of genuine interest. Chapter 2. Become genuinely interested in other people. This chapter wraps up the lesson on arguing by reinforcing the idea that true influence comes from understanding and listening, not from fighting to be right. It sets the tone for the rest of the audiobook, establishing the foundation for all the strategies of influence that will follow. Straight. People don't care about you nearly as much as they care about themselves. It's not personal, it's human nature. You want influence. You need to stop talking about yourself. Stop worrying about impressing others. Focus on them. That's the key to winning people over. Genuine interest. You have a choice. You can either make every conversation about you and lose people, or you can make it about them and gain their trust. Simple as that. It's not about showing off what you know. It's about showing a real interest in what they know. The more you engage with others authentically, the more they will open up to you, and the more you'll become their go-to person. Genuine curiosity is magnetic. The power of curiosity. People crave attention. More than that, they crave genuine attention. They don't just want to be seen, they want to be heard. You want to influence someone, listen to them. You want to win their trust. Be genuinely curious about them. Think about it. The last time someone really listened to you, not just as a formality, but really listened, how did that make you feel? Like $1,000,000, right? It's not complicated. People like to talk about themselves, and they will engage with you far more when you show true curiosity about them. Curiosity is power. It's the quiet force that draws people in. When you're genuinely interested in others, they want to be around you. They'll talk to you, they'll share with you, and most importantly, they'll trust you. You want influence. Then make others feel like they matter, and they will follow you. It's time to stop worrying about impressing others and start focusing on impressing them with your attention. Let me say that again. You impress people when you focus on them, not yourself. Authenticity over manipulation. Here's a hard truth for you. Faking interest never works. Never. You can't pretend to care. People will see right through you. Authenticity is the only way to build real relationships. The moment you fake interest, the person knows. And when they know, they shut down, they withdraw, they lose respect. You've been on the receiving end of this, haven't you? A conversation where the other person is clearly just nodding, acting like they care, but you can tell they're thinking about something else. It's a waste of time. It feels shallow. You don't want that, so stop doing it. Instead, you need to be genuinely curious. Real curiosity comes from a place of respect and engagement. It's not a strategy. It's a mindset. When you're truly interested, the other person feels that. They feel seen. They feel heard. And that's how trust is built. You have a choice. You can manipulate or you can be authentic. Choose authenticity. Because only authenticity leads to real, lasting influence. That's the key. Practical tip: ask questions and listen. You want to influence someone? It's simple. Ask questions. Ask them about their passions. Ask them about their experiences. Ask them about their life. Then shut up and listen. That's the real secret to influence. Listening. You don't need to talk all the time. You don't need to have the perfect thing to say. What you need is to be genuinely interested in them. Ask the right questions and then listen closely to what they say. When people talk about what they care about, they open up. They become more relaxed, more open. And when you're genuinely interested in what they're saying, they feel respected. And here's the trick. The more you listen, the more they'll talk. And the more they talk, the more you understand them. The more you understand them, the more influence you have. You're not trying to manipulate them with your listening. You're not trying to trap them into saying something they don't want to say. No, you're showing them that you value them. That's it. And that's how you build strong, authentic relationships. So, next time you're in a conversation, ask questions. Let the other person talk about what excites them, what's important to them, and what makes them tick. And when they do, listen with intent. Don't just hear the words, listen for the feelings, the underlying messages. People will respect you for it. Real-world example. Let me give you an example. Think about a time when you were in a meeting at work, or maybe in a casual conversation. The person you were speaking with was fully engaged in you. They asked questions about your work, your challenges, your life. They listened attentively, even asked follow-up questions. How did that make you feel? Like they cared about you, right? That's the power of genuine interest. Now think about the opposite. Think about the last time you tried to talk to someone who was distracted, who didn't really listen, who didn't ask questions to deepen the conversation. How did that feel? Shallow, unimportant. It's the opposite of what you want. You want influence, right? Then don't make the mistake of thinking you can impress others with your own brilliance. Instead, show them that they are brilliant. Ask them about their insights, their passions, their experiences. When you do that, you're not just gaining knowledge, you're building relationships. And relationships are the foundation of influence. Here's the takeaway. People want to feel heard. They want to feel like what they have to say matters. If you're not listening to them, you're missing the chance to influence them. You can't manipulate people into liking you, but you can show them genuine interest. You can make them feel important, respected, and understood. That's how you win their trust. That's how you build influence. You have a choice. You can either keep talking about yourself, trying to impress people with what you know, or you can become genuinely interested in others. The first one builds walls. The second one builds bridges. And influence is built on bridges, not walls. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't talk about yourself. Ask them about themselves. Listen to what they say. And in doing so, you'll unlock the key to influencing others, one relationship at a time. You've now learned the most important step in building relationships: genuine interest. It's simple. Stop talking about yourself. Start asking questions. Start listening. And that's how you win people over. Next up, we'll dive deeper into how to make a lasting impression. Chapter 3. Smile, it's your secret weapon. Because the right smile, it's like opening the door to influence. This chapter focuses on the core principle of influencing others by showing genuine interest in them. Through repeated emphasis on curiosity, authenticity, and listening, this chapter builds the foundation for real, lasting influence. The repetition reinforces the idea that genuine engagement with others, not manipulation, creates deep, lasting relationships. Chapter 3. Smile, it's your secret weapon. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you walked into a room, smiled, and watched the energy change? Smiling is powerful. It's universal. It speaks a language that everyone understands. You don't need to say a word, but a smile can open doors you never knew existed. That's the key. You have a choice. You can either walk into a room with a closed-off demeanor and watch people stay away, or you can smile and watch the whole room shift in your favor. The first option isolates you. The second, it attracts people to you. You want influence. You need to smile. It's not about being fake, it's about conveying warmth, trust, and confidence. That's how you build relationships. The unseen power of a smile. I want you to understand something very clearly. A smile is one of the most powerful tools you have. It's free, it's easy, and it's often underestimated. People don't realize the effect their smile has on others. But the truth is, smiling is a universal language. It melts resistance. It opens doors. It creates instant connection. Think about it. When you smile, it's like you're sending a message to the world. That message says, I'm approachable. I'm friendly. I'm someone you can trust. Whether you're meeting someone for the first time, walking into a room full of strangers, or simply having a conversation, your smile is your invitation to connect. It's your secret weapon. But here's the catch. You need to make it genuine. A fake smile won't cut it. People can spot a forced smile from a mile away. You have to truly feel it. A genuine smile is a signal of warmth and openness. That's when the magic happens. Next time you're in a situation where you want to win people over, smile first. It's a simple move, but it has a huge impact. Watch the way people react when they see your smile. They soften. They become more approachable. They want to engage with you. Why? Because a smile creates positive energy. Psychology of smiling. Let's talk about the psychology behind it. A smile isn't just a facial expression. It's a psychological tool. It triggers positive emotions in both you and the people around you. When you smile, you're not just showing the world that you're happy. You're signaling that you're confident, comfortable, and in control. People are attracted to confidence. And guess what? Smiling is one of the easiest ways to project confidence. When you smile, you're telling people that you have nothing to hide, that you're at ease with yourself, and that you welcome interaction. Confidence is magnetic. It draws people in. That's the power of a smile. A smile also fosters trust. Trust is everything in relationships, whether they're personal or professional. When you smile at someone, you're showing them you're open. You're not defensive, you're not closed off, and you're not hiding anything. You're saying, I'm here to connect and I'm not afraid of the conversation. Trust is built on that openness, and trust leads to influence. It's not about your words, it's about the way you make people feel. When you smile, you create a safe space for others to engage with you. You send out the message that you're someone worth talking to, someone who will listen and understand. Real life example now, let's make this real. Think about the next time you walk into a room, whether it's a meeting, a social gathering, or even just walking into a store. Smile. I'm telling you, watch how the energy changes. Watch how people start to gravitate toward you. You can walk into a room looking tense, like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, and people will keep their distance. They'll sense your discomfort and they'll mirror it. But when you walk into the same room with a smile on your face, suddenly the room feels lighter. People start to relax. They become more open to you. You've broken the ice without saying a word. It's not magic. It's psychology. It's the way humans are wired. When we see someone smiling, we feel safe. We feel comfortable. We're drawn to them. And when we're drawn to someone, we're more likely to listen to them, trust them, and ultimately follow them. I want you to try something. The next time you enter a room full of strangers, smile before you even say a word. And then watch. Watch how the room reacts. Watch how the people around you shift from neutral or closed off to open and welcoming. It's not you, it's the smile. The influence of your smile. Now, let's talk about what happens when you make smiling a habit. It becomes your tool for influence. People gravitate toward you. They're more likely to engage with you, collaborate with you, and trust you. And trust me, this opens doors in ways that no speech, no pitch, no argument ever will. But here's where the true power lies. Smiling is a reflection of your internal state. When you smile genuinely, you tell yourself, I'm confident, I'm in control, I'm comfortable. And when you believe that, others will too. When you smile, you're not just affecting the people around you. You're affecting yourself. It's hard to stay angry or tense when you're smiling. Smiling has the power to shift your mood and energy, and that shift ripples outward to everyone you encounter. So here's the takeaway. You have a choice. You can walk into a room with your guard up, your energy low, and your attitude closed, or you can choose to smile. You can choose to let people see the real you, the confident, approachable, open version of yourself. And in doing so, you'll unlock doors you never thought were there. The secret weapon is simple. Smiling is the easiest way to influence people. It's free, it's powerful, and it's often overlooked. But when you make it a habit, it becomes an irresistible force. People are drawn to you when you smile. They trust you. They listen to you. They respect you. Next time you're in a situation where you want to build influence, remember this. Smile. Make it genuine. Let the positive energy flow from you. Watch how it opens doors, melts resistance, and attracts the people you need to build your relationships. You've just unlocked one of the easiest and most powerful ways to influence people. The smile. Now go out there and use it. Let it be your secret weapon. You've mastered the art of attracting others with your smile. Now, let's dive into the next crucial step in building lasting influence. Chapter 4. Remember a person's name. It's their most important word. This chapter emphasizes the simplicity yet profound impact of a smile, blending psychology with actionable behavior. Through repetition, the listener is urged to adopt smiling as a tool for influencing others, transforming both internal energy and external interactions. The transition seamlessly sets up the next chapter's lesson, ensuring continued engagement. Let me ask you a simple question. How do you feel when someone remembers your name? There's power in a name. When someone uses your name, it's not just a word. It's your identity. It's who you are. Remembering and using a person's name shows respect. It's the first step in building a meaningful connection. You have a choice. You can either forget people's names, dismissing them as unimportant, or you can make them feel seen, heard, and valued by remembering their names. Which one do you think leads to stronger relationships? That's the key. You want influence. It starts with remembering names. The impact of names, a person's name, is far more than just a label. It's their identity, their self-image, and often it's tied to their sense of worth. When you remember someone's name, you're doing more than just recalling a piece of information. You're acknowledging their importance. And that's huge. People don't forget how you make them feel. If you make someone feel significant, they will remember you. And the best way to do that is by remembering and using their name. It's simple, yet incredibly effective. The moment you address someone by their name, you're telling them, you matter. Names carry a deep emotional weight. Think about it. When someone calls your name, doesn't it feel different? Doesn't it grab your attention? There's an instant connection when someone uses your name. When you use someone's name, you're making a personal bond. That bond creates trust. That trust is the foundation of influence. The art of name recognition, you have a choice. You can either make a person feel insignificant by forgetting their name, or you can make them feel important by remembering it. The art of name recognition is simple, but incredibly powerful. The key is to use their name, but do it naturally. Don't force it. Don't overdo it. Just use their name in conversation when it makes sense. Imagine this. You're in a meeting. You're talking to a group of people. You've just met one of them. Let's say his name is David. Throughout the conversation, you mention David's name a few times. Not excessively, but just enough to make him feel seen. Now, watch how the dynamic shifts. David feels recognized. He feels acknowledged. He feels like you're speaking directly to him. Using a person's name creates a sense of connection. It makes them feel special. It makes them feel important. That's the power of using names. When you incorporate their name naturally, you create rapport. Rapport is the foundation of influence. It's not about using their name to manipulate them. It's about showing them that they matter. That's the key. The more you use someone's name in a conversation, the more they'll feel like you care about them. And when people feel cared for, they trust you. And trust is everything in influence. Storytelling. The power of a name in a tense situation. Let me share a real-life example. A few years ago, I was in a tense negotiation. There was a lot on the line. The stakes were high. I was sitting across from a tough, experienced negotiator. Let's call him Jack. Jack was reserved, almost cold, and I could tell he wasn't easily impressed. The room was filled with tension. I started the conversation by addressing Jack by name. I didn't force it, but I made sure to use his name every so often naturally throughout our conversation. I could see his posture soften. His eyes lit up a little every time I used his name. There was a shift in the energy of the room. It wasn't immediate, but over time I noticed the tension start to ease. By the end of the meeting, we weren't just talking business, we were collaborating. I had built a rapport with Jack, and it was through something simple, using his name. When I made the effort to remember his name, it broke down the walls of resistance. The entire negotiation changed course because I took the time to respect him enough to remember his identity. That's the power of a name. It's not just a word. It's a key to unlock trust and collaboration. When you use a person's name, you create an emotional connection. It humanizes you. It makes the other person feel seen and respected. And in a high-stakes situation, that's a game changer. Here's the deal. You have a choice. You can either dismiss people's names, forget them, and in doing so, make them feel unimportant. Or you can remember and use their name, making them feel seen, valued, and respected. You choose the power of connection. You choose to influence by acknowledging their identity. The secret is simple. Remember their name. Use it naturally. It builds rapport. It creates trust. It opens doors. It builds relationships that lead to influence. Next time you're meeting someone new, commit to remembering their name. It's the simplest way to show them you care. It's a small gesture, but it creates big results. That's the key to winning people over. You've learned the importance of remembering someone's name. Now make it a part of your toolkit for influence. Names matter. They are powerful. And when you use them correctly, you build trust, respect, and lasting relationships. Now let's move on. Chapter 5. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Because influence starts with listening, not talking. In this chapter, the listener is taught the importance of remembering and using a person's name, reinforcing how small gestures like this can create a powerful connection. Through repetition and real-world application, the listener is encouraged to see the value in using names to build rapport and influence others. The transition to the next chapter is seamless, setting up the importance of listening to others as the next step in developing influence. Chapter 5. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Let's get one thing clear. If you want to influence others, you have to stop talking so much. You think you need to speak up, be the loudest, make your point heard. Wrong. The real power lies in listening. You have a choice. You can dominate the conversation with your own ideas, or you can listen and let the other person's words do the work. Guess which one leads to stronger connections? Listening. When you listen, you unlock a whole new level of influence. That's the key. People want to be heard. They want to feel understood. And if you want to build trust and influence, you need to let them talk. The power of listening, let me tell you a truth that people often overlook. Listening is the key to influence. It's not about what you say. It's about what you hear. It's about making people feel like they matter, like their words have weight. People love talking about themselves. It's human nature. The more they talk, the more they feel seen, respected, and important. And when you make someone feel important, that's when influence begins. But here's the catch. It's not enough to just hear their words. You have to listen with intent. Listening isn't passive. It's active. When you listen, you show respect. You show that you care. You show that what they're saying is valuable to you. That's the foundation of a meaningful connection. Think about the most powerful connections you've had in your life. What made those relationships work? Was it the fact that you talked nonstop about yourself? No. It was because the other person listened to you. They gave you the floor. And in return, you trusted them. So here's the truth. If you want to influence people, the best thing you can do is get them talking about themselves. The more they talk, the more they like you. And the more they like you, the more they're open to what you have to say. Strategic listening, you have a choice. You can either talk over someone and make them feel dismissed, or you can listen to them and make them feel heard. The second option, that's the strategy for building influence. Listening strategically means making the other person feel important. It means getting them to talk about what matters to them without you having to do all the talking. It's about giving them the floor. It's about asking the right questions and then shutting up. Let them speak. Let them express their thoughts, ideas, and feelings. When you listen with genuine interest, they feel validated. And that validation, that's how trust is built. Now I know what you're thinking. But if I don't talk, how will they know what I want? Easy. The more you listen, the more you learn about them. And the more you learn about them, the better you can tailor your responses to meet their needs, align with their values, and ultimately gain their trust. The real secret of strategic listening is not just hearing words, it's interpreting emotions. It's about picking up on what's unsaid, what's hidden beneath the surface. You want to understand what truly drives a person. Listen to what they don't say. Pay attention to body language, tone of voice, and pauses. When you listen closely, you gain insights that most people miss. And that's how you gain influence. Real example. The power of listening in a job interview. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're sitting in a job interview. You're the candidate. The employer is talking about the role, the challenges, and the company's values. They're giving you a lot of information. Now, what do? Most candidates would rush to respond, to sell themselves, to talk about how great they are. But that's not what you do. Instead, you listen carefully. You take in everything they say. You ask thoughtful follow-up questions based on what they've shared. You let them express their needs, their goals, and their concerns. Why does this work? Because the employer feels understood. They feel like you're not just another candidate talking at them. You're someone who truly gets the role, the company, and the challenges they face. They trust you more because you've made the effort to listen, not just talk. In that moment, you're not trying to sell yourself with your words. You're selling yourself with your understanding. And guess what? That's what gets you the job. In a world where everyone's trying to out-talk each other, the person who listens stands out. That's the power of strategic listening. Here's the deal. You have a choice. You can keep talking and dominating every conversation, or you can listen and build deep, meaningful relationships. If you want influence, you need to stop talking so much. Let others speak. Let them share their thoughts, their passions, their struggles. When you listen, you show respect. You give them the floor and they will give you their trust. And trust, that's the foundation of influence. Remember this, the more someone talks about themselves, the more they like you. It's simple. If you want to win people over, get them talking. That's the key. You've learned the secret to building influence. Listen. Listen intently. Listen with respect. Give people the floor. Let them share, and in doing so, you'll win their trust and loyalty. You mastered the art of listening. Now, let's move on to the next step in building influence. Chapter 6. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Because influence isn't about pushing your agenda. It's about aligning your goals with theirs. This chapter emphasizes the importance of listening, focusing on how strategic listening can create influence by making others feel heard and valued. Through repetition and clear examples, the listener is encouraged to stop talking and start listening in order to build trust and rapport. The chapter sets the stage for the next lesson on aligning goals and interests for mutual influence. Straight. Influence isn't about you. It's about the other person. You're not in charge of changing their mind or pushing your agenda. You're in charge of understanding what they care about and speaking to that. You have a choice. You can keep focusing on your own needs, or you can shift your attention to the person in front of you, speak their language, and align with what they value. Which one do you think leads to stronger connections and more influence? That's the key. Speak in terms of what they care about, not just what you want. Influence isn't about pushing your agenda. It's about aligning your goals with theirs. Empathy is key if you want to influence others. You need to understand one thing. Empathy is everything. It's not enough to simply speak to people. You must speak to their hearts, to their needs, to their desires. The most powerful way to do this is to frame your communication around what they care about. Think about it. People don't care about your opinions as much as they care about their own. They're not thinking about your product, your goals, or your problems. They're thinking about their own. And when you speak to what they care about, you immediately connect. Here's a powerful truth. The more you align your message with their needs, the more they'll be open to you. It's simple, but it's often overlooked. You think that talking about yourself, your business, your goals will get you the result you want. Wrong. You've got to make them see that what you offer benefits them. You don't need their permission to speak their language. You need to connect with them. You need to show them you understand their world. And when you do that, you instantly build trust. And trust is the foundation of influence. Connecting on common ground, here's the truth. Influence is about connecting on common ground. It's not about convincing the other person that your ideas are better. It's about finding the overlap between what they want and what you offer. Imagine this. You're in a business negotiation. You know what you want. You know what's best for your company. But if all you do is focus on what you want, you're not going to get very far. Why? Because the other person doesn't care about your wants, they care about theirs. You've got to align your goals with theirs. You need to figure out what they care about and then frame your message around that. It's about understanding what their needs are and showing them how you can help meet those needs. This creates a partnership, not a conflict. It's not about pushing your agenda. It's about finding where your agenda aligns with theirs. When you do that, you don't have to fight for their attention or trust. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to show them that you're working towards the same goal. That's the foundation of influence. Real-world example. A business deal. Let's make this real. Imagine you're sitting across from a potential client in a business deal. You've got your product. You're confident. You know your stuff. But all you do is talk about how great your product is, how it will make your business thrive, and how much profit you stand to make. What happens? The client feels you're pushing your agenda. They don't feel like you're speaking to their needs. And guess what? They'll resist. They'll push back. And you'll lose influence. Now imagine a different scenario. Instead of focusing on your profit, you focus on what the client needs. You listen to them. You ask about their challenges. You talk about how your product can solve their problems, make their job easier, and help them achieve their goals. You show them how it benefits them, not just you. What happens then? The client feels understood. They feel like you've got their back, they trust you, and trust is everything. They're more likely to sign the deal. Why? Because you've aligned your goals with theirs. You've made it clear that you're both working towards the same outcome. That's influence. When you speak in terms of the other person's interests, you transform the relationship from transactional to relational. You go from "I want something from you" to "we both want the same thing." That's a partnership. And when people feel like they're in a partnership, they're much more likely to say yes. So here's the bottom line. You have a choice. You can keep talking about what you want, what you need, and what you think is important. Or you can shift your focus. You can talk in terms of the other person's interests, their goals, and their desires. That's the secret to influence. It's not about pushing your agenda. It's about aligning your goals with theirs. When you do that, you don't need to convince them to agree with you. They'll already be on your side. That's the key. Speak their language, speak to their needs. Speak to what they care about. And you'll find that influence isn't something you have to chase. It's something you attract. You've just unlocked one of the most powerful tools for influence, speaking in terms of the other person's interests. Now go out there and put it into practice. Remember, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about finding common ground, aligning your goals, and making them feel understood. Now that you know how to speak to people's interests, let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 7. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. Because the real power of influence comes when you show others that they matter. This chapter emphasizes the importance of empathy and aligning your goals with others' needs to build influence. Through repetition, real-world examples, and clear instructions, the listener is encouraged to stop focusing on their own agenda and instead speak in terms of what matters to the person they're trying to influence. The chapter closes by transitioning smoothly to the next lesson on making others feel important, tying everything back to the core theme of building relationships based on trust and mutual respect. Chapter 7. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. Let's get something clear right now. People want to feel important. More than anything, they want to feel like they matter. If you want influence, you've got to make others feel significant, not just as a tactic, but as a genuine, sincere gesture. When you make people feel valued, they will trust you. And trust is the key to influence. You have a choice. You can either ignore the importance of the people around you, or you can show them that they matter. The second option. That's how you build loyalty. That's how you build relationships. That's how you influence. Sincere recognition, here's a fact. People thrive on recognition. If you want to influence someone, you've got to let them know they're seen. But, and this is crucial, it has to be sincere. Praise that's vague or feels forced is worse than no praise at all. People can sense when you're being disingenuous, and when they do, you lose their respect. Praise should be specific. It should be real. When you recognize someone's value, don't just say, "You're great." Say, "You did an amazing job on that project. Your attention to detail really made a difference." When you get specific, you make the other person feel like they've truly earned your recognition. That's powerful. But here's the secret. Sincere recognition isn't about flattery. It's about acknowledging someone's contribution in a meaningful way. It's about showing them that you see their effort, their hard work, their unique value. And when you do that, you create a connection that runs deep. Principle of importance: you have a choice. You can either dismiss people's worth or you can show them that they matter. Here's the thing: everyone wants to feel important. They want to feel like their presence makes a difference, that their actions have meaning. The principle of importance is simple. When people feel like they matter, they open up. They become more loyal, more cooperative, more willing to help you. When you make someone feel valued, you're not just gaining their respect, you're gaining their trust. And trust is everything. Think about it. Have you ever had someone make you feel like you were important, that your opinion mattered, that your work was recognized? How did it feel? It felt powerful, didn't it? And how did you respond to that person? Did you trust them more? Did you want to help them more? Did you want to be around them more? That's the power of making someone feel important. When you make others feel valued, you don't just influence them. You forge a connection that lasts. You build a relationship that's grounded in respect and trust. And that's how you influence people, not with power but with sincerity. Powerful story. The sincere compliment that built a lifelong ally. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was working on a big project with a team of people. One person, let's call her Sarah, had been doing outstanding work. She was quiet, diligent, and consistently delivered high-quality results. Yet, nobody ever acknowledged her. The team was focused on the big personalities, the loudest voices in the room. Sarah was overlooked. But one day, I made a point to recognize her. I told her, "Sarah, I just want to say, your attention to detail in this project has been incredible. It really sets the standard for the rest of us." I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't say, "You're great" or "You're amazing." I was specific. I showed her that I saw the value she was bringing to the team. Do you know what happened after that? She lit up. Her entire demeanor shifted. She was more engaged, more invested in the work. And here's the kicker. Sarah became one of my biggest allies, not just in that project but in future projects. She promoted my ideas, supported my decisions, and advocated for me when others doubted me. Why? Because I made her feel important. I recognized her contribution, and it wasn't just a throwaway compliment. It was genuine, it was sincere, and it made her feel seen. Now, let's be clear. I wasn't trying to manipulate her. I wasn't trying to get something out of her. I was simply acknowledging her value. But the result? A lifelong ally. That's the power of sincere recognition. That's the key to influence. So here's the deal. You have a choice. You can either let people fade into the background, unnoticed and unappreciated, or you can make them feel valued. You can give them the recognition they deserve. Here's how you do it. Be specific. Don't just throw out empty compliments. Be real. Acknowledge what people are doing right, what they're contributing, and what makes them unique. And do it sincerely. People can spot insincerity a mile away. If you want to influence them, you have to mean what you say. It's not about empty flattery. It's about recognizing the worth in others and showing them that you see it. When you do this, you build trust. When you build trust, you build influence. You've learned the importance of making others feel significant. Now go out there and do it. Don't hold back. Give recognition where it's due. Be specific. Be sincere. And make people feel like they matter. You've unlocked a powerful tool for influence. Now let's move on. Chapter 8. The Power of Encouragement. Let people save face. Because influence isn't just about praise. It's about knowing when and how to offer support, especially when things go wrong. This chapter dives deep into the power of making others feel valued through sincere recognition. It encourages the listener to acknowledge others in a specific, meaningful way, illustrating how such recognition can lead to trust, loyalty, and long-lasting influence. By reinforcing the concept of importance, the chapter provides actionable steps to build stronger relationships and enhance one's ability to influence. The transition to the next chapter sets up the principle of encouragement, reinforcing the importance of emotional support in building influence. Let's cut to the chase. Criticism is toxic. It destroys confidence, breaks relationships, and shuts down growth. People don't respond well to criticism. They respond to encouragement. If you want influence, if you want to build real relationships, you've got to stop criticizing and start encouraging. You have a choice. You can either tear people down with your words, or you can lift them up with encouragement. Guess which one earns you loyalty, trust, and influence? That's the key. You don't need to criticize to make people better. You need to encourage them to believe in themselves. The dangers of criticism. Here's the thing. Criticism rarely works. Most people don't change because you criticize them. They may change out of fear, but fear doesn't build trust. Fear doesn't create connection. Criticism makes people defensive. It pushes them away. It kills motivation. Have you ever been criticized for something? Not constructive feedback, but straight-up criticism. How did it make you feel? Small, didn't it? It probably made you feel like you were worthless, that you couldn't do anything right. And when that happens, you don't want to try again. You don't want to listen. You don't want to be open. Criticism doesn't breed loyalty. It breeds resentment. It puts people on the defensive, and once people feel defensive, they shut you out. It's simple. You can't influence someone you've pushed away. Now, I'm not saying you should avoid giving feedback when it's necessary, but there's a big difference between criticism and encouragement. Criticism is about pointing out flaws. Encouragement is about helping others believe they can do better. The first creates distance. The second builds a bridge. Reframe failure as opportunity. If you want to build influence, you need to shift your mindset. Failure isn't a dead end, it's an opportunity. When someone makes a mistake, instead of tearing them down, help them see what they can do better next time. Reframe the failure as a lesson. Encourage them to learn from it, not wallow in it. People will always be more willing to improve when they feel supported, not judged. Encourage them through the setback. Don't rub their mistakes in their face. Show them that mistakes aren't the end, they're a step towards growth. That's the key. People improve when they feel encouraged, when they feel like their efforts matter. They will work harder for you, fight harder for your cause, and stay loyal to you when you've supported them in their struggles. Think about it. You don't need to tell people they've failed. They already know that. What they need is someone who believes in them even when things go wrong. That's when real growth happens. So, next time someone messes up, ask yourself, how can I help them? How can I encourage them to keep going? Real example. Encouragement over criticism. Let me give you a real example. A few years ago, I was working on a team project with a colleague. Let's call her Lisa. Lisa was brilliant, sharp, driven, and capable. But one day, she made a mistake that could have derailed the entire project. The natural reaction might have been to point out where she went wrong and criticize her decision. But that wouldn't help her. That would only make her feel small, make her defensive, and damage her confidence. Instead, I decided to approach her differently. I acknowledged the mistake, but I focused on what we could do to fix it. I told her, hey, we've all been there. Let's work through this together. You've got the skills and we'll make sure we get this back on track. You know what happened next. Lisa didn't retreat. She didn't get defensive. She leaned in. She took responsibility for the mistake and worked even harder to correct it. She felt supported, not condemned. And that's how she became even more loyal to the project and to me. By encouraging her, I didn't just help her fix the mistake. I built trust. And not only did Lisa stay loyal to me, but she also became one of my biggest advocates in the company. She spoke highly of me to others and supported my ideas in future projects. That's the power of encouragement. It's not just about lifting someone's spirits. It's about building lasting relationships based on respect and mutual support. Here's the bottom line. You have a choice. You can either criticize people when they fail, or you can encourage them to get back up and try again. One makes them want to shut down, the other makes them want to rise higher. If you want to build influence, you need to stop criticizing and start encouraging. Encourage people when they make mistakes and help them see failure as an opportunity to grow. When you do that, you'll not only help them improve, you'll earn their trust. And trust is everything. That's the key. When you build others up, they'll work harder for you. They'll become your allies, your supporters, your advocates. They'll stick with you through thick and thin. And that's how you build powerful, lasting relationships that lead to influence. You've learned the power of encouragement. Now, it's time to put it into action. Start encouraging people around you. Recognize their efforts, acknowledge their potential, and help them rise above their mistakes. When you do that, you'll build loyalty, you'll build trust, and you'll build influence. Now let's move on. Chapter 9. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Because influence isn't about tearing others down. It's about building them up and creating positive, collaborative environments. This chapter emphasizes the power of encouragement over criticism, reinforcing that people are more likely to grow and improve when they feel supported. Through repetition and real-world examples, the listener is urged to shift their focus from criticism to constructive support. This lays the groundwork for the next chapter, which will continue to build on the theme of positive influence. Chapter 8. The power of encouragement. Let people save face. Let's get one thing straight. Criticism doesn't work. It might feel good to point out someone's mistakes, but the truth is, people don't respond to criticism. They shut down, they feel attacked, they become defensive. And then guess what? You've lost your influence over them. You have a choice. You can either criticize people and tear them down, or you can encourage them and help them grow. Which one do you think builds trust, respect, and loyalty? That's the key. Encouragement isn't about being soft. It's about making people feel respected, supported, and motivated to improve. The dangers of criticism, let's break it down. Criticism has a price. It's toxic. It doesn't inspire change. It inspires resistance. People know when they're being criticized, and their instinct is to push back. They'll feel embarrassed, angry, or inadequate. And guess what happens when someone feels those things? They don't want to hear anything more from you. They shut off. It's simple. Criticism creates distance. The more you criticize someone, the more they'll retreat into their shell. They won't listen to your feedback, and they certainly won't trust you. You cannot influence someone you've pushed away. Now, that doesn't mean you should never give feedback. Feedback is vital. But here's the difference. Criticism tells people what they did wrong. Encouragement shows them how they can do better. Criticism is about pointing out flaws, while encouragement is about highlighting potential. That's the key. Focus on encouraging growth, not on tearing people down. Reframe failure as opportunity. If you want to build influence, you need to learn how to reframe failure as an opportunity. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of life. What matters is how we respond to those mistakes. When someone fails, do they feel like they've hit a dead end, or do they feel like they've learned something valuable? Here's the reality. People are always more willing to improve when they feel supported, not judged. If you want someone to grow, show them you believe in their ability to get better. Encourage them to learn from their mistakes, not wallow in them. Think about the times when you've made a mistake, maybe in your career, your personal life, or even a simple task. How did you feel when someone criticized you for it? Did you want to improve, or did you just want to avoid them? Now think about the times when someone encouraged you instead. They helped you see your mistake as a stepping stone, not as a failure. That's when you grew. That's when you became better. Here's the secret. If you want someone to improve, support them, don't judge them. Make them feel like they have the tools to fix it, not like they've been branded a failure. People rise when they feel encouraged. Real example. Encouragement over criticism. Let me tell you a story. A while back, I was working with a colleague. Let's call him Mark. Mark had made a big mistake on a major project, one that had the potential to cause significant delays. I knew the pressure was on, and I knew that, naturally, Mark would be feeling pretty awful about the situation. The rest of the team was frustrated, and some people wanted to blame him. Now, I could have piled on. I could have pointed out how his mistake was going to cost us, how it could have been avoided, how we could have done better. But that wouldn't have helped him. That wouldn't have helped anyone. Instead, I chose to encourage him. I said, "Mark, I know this didn't go as planned, but you've learned something from this and we're going to fix it. This is just a bump in the road. You're capable of turning this around." The result? Mark didn't shrink back in shame. He didn't shut down. He took responsibility for the mistake, and instead of making excuses, he dove right into fixing it. He felt supported. He felt like we were all in it together. And you know what? He worked harder than ever. Months later, that same mistake became a valuable lesson. Mark grew from it, and his loyalty to the team deepened. He became more committed to the project, and he began to take on even more responsibility. Why? Because he didn't feel condemned. He felt encouraged, and that made all the difference. That's the power of encouragement. It's not about ignoring mistakes, it's about showing people that they can overcome them. It's about offering them the opportunity to learn and grow. When you encourage others, you empower them. When you criticize, you take away their motivation to try. So here's the bottom line. You have a choice. You can either criticize people and make them feel small, or you can encourage them and help them feel capable of growth. If you want to build influence, you have to encourage others to be better, not make them feel worse. When someone makes a mistake, don't jump to criticism. Reframe it. See it as an opportunity for growth, not a failure to be judged. Offer them support, not blame. When you do that, they will feel more confident, more loyal, and more likely to work harder for you. That's the key. Influence is about making others feel that they are capable, that they can do better, that they can learn from their mistakes. And when you do that, you build trust. And when you build trust, you build influence. You've just unlocked the power of encouragement. Now go out there and use it. Stop criticizing, start supporting. Encourage people to learn from their mistakes. Make them feel like they matter, like they're capable, and watch how they rise to the occasion. Now let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 9. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Because influence isn't just about lifting people up. It's about creating an environment of positivity and growth. This chapter focuses on the transformative power of encouragement, emphasizing how it fosters growth, loyalty, and trust. Through repetition and clear, actionable advice, The listener is encouraged to move away from criticism and instead focus on supporting others. By offering a real-world example, the chapter demonstrates how encouragement can turn a negative situation into a positive one, ultimately building influence. The transition into the next chapter sets the stage for continued growth, both personally and in relationships with others. Chapter 9. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Let's get straight to the point. Criticism is toxic. It destroys relationships. It kills motivation. It builds walls instead of bridges. And most importantly, criticism doesn't lead to improvement. You have a choice. You can either criticize, condemn, and complain, or you can choose to uplift, empower, and encourage. Which one do you think builds trust and loyalty? That's the key. You want to influence people, then stop tearing them down and start building them up. Why criticism is toxic. Here's a hard truth. Criticism breeds resentment. When you criticize someone, you make them feel small. You make them feel inadequate. And resentment ruins relationships. People don't forget when they've been criticized. They carry it with them. It festers. It creates distance. Think about the last time someone criticized you. How did it make you feel? Defensive, hurt, angry, of course. Now think about the last time someone acknowledged you for something you did well. How did that make you feel? Motivated, appreciated. That's the difference. Criticism isn't a path to progress. It's a shortcut to destroying relationships and trust. It's not about their flaws. It's about your discipline to recognize the value in others. Focus on positives. If you want to influence people, you need to focus on the positives. You need to replace criticism with praise. But here's the key. It's not enough to just say, "Good job." You need to be specific. You need to let them know why they did a great job. Praise should be real, specific, and sincere. Don't just say, "You're awesome." Say, "You handled that client with incredible patience and understanding, and it made a real difference." But praise is only part of the equation. When someone does make a mistake or needs to improve, give constructive feedback, not criticism. Instead of saying, "That was wrong," say, "I think this could be improved by doing X, Y, and Z." Instead of condemning, you're guiding. You're offering a way forward. When people feel respected and encouraged, they're far more likely to change. They want to improve for you, not out of fear, but out of a desire to live up to your expectations. And that's how influence works. When people feel lifted up, they rise to the occasion. About a manager I once worked with. This guy was different from any boss I'd ever had. He didn't criticize his team. Ever. When someone made a mistake, instead of laying into them, he would calmly offer suggestions on how to do better next time. If a project didn't go as planned, he'd sit down with the team and say, "What did we learn from this? How can we improve next time?" Instead of pointing fingers, he focused on solutions. He turned every setback into an opportunity to grow. You know what happened? The team was loyal to him. They trusted him. They worked harder for him. And the result? Productivity skyrocketed. The team was more efficient, more creative, and more committed. His employees didn't fear failure. They knew that if they stumbled, he'd be there to help them get back on track, not to tear them down. That's the power of positive leadership. By never criticizing, he built a culture of respect, trust, and accountability. The team didn't just follow him because they had to, they followed him because they wanted to. They saw him as a partner, not a dictator. And when people feel like they're partners in something, they give their best. That's the key to loyalty and productivity. You have a choice. You can either criticize, condemn, and complain, or you can choose to lift people up. If you want to influence others, focus on what they do right. Offer constructive feedback when necessary. Be specific in your praise and always show respect. Replace criticism with encouragement. Replace condemnation with constructive feedback. Replace complaining with solutions. When you do that, you create an environment where people feel valued, respected, and motivated to give their best. It's not about flaws. It's about discipline. The discipline to focus on the positives, to offer support when things go wrong, and to build people up rather than tear them down. You've just learned the power of positivity. Now it's time to take action. Start today. When someone makes a mistake, resist the urge to criticize. Instead, offer a solution. When someone does something well, tell them why it matters. Praise them sincerely. Recognize their efforts. Make them feel respected, and you'll see how they rise to the occasion. Now that you've learned how to build others up, let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 10. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Because influence isn't just about offering feedback. It's about showing gratitude and making people feel valued every single day. This chapter focuses on the destructive nature of criticism and the transformative power of encouragement. By providing actionable strategies to replace criticism with praise and constructive feedback, the listener is empowered to influence others through respect, trust, and positive reinforcement. The transition to the next chapter ensures the listener is ready to deepen their ability to influence by emphasizing the importance of sincere appreciation. Chapter 10. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Here's a truth you need to understand. Appreciation is one of the most powerful motivators you can offer. It's simple, yet incredibly effective. When people feel valued, they work harder, they push further, they give you their best. When you fail to show appreciation, you're leaving influence on the table. You have a choice. You can either ignore people's efforts or you can show them gratitude. The second choice, that's the key. If you want loyalty, if you want respect, if you want people to go the extra mile for you, start by showing appreciation. It costs you nothing but gives you everything. The art of appreciation, let's be real. Everyone craves appreciation. It's human nature. We all want to feel that what we do matters, that our efforts are seen, and that we're making a difference. The problem is, too many people forget to show appreciation. They think it's enough to just assume that others know they're valued. That's not how it works. People need to hear it. They need to feel it. Genuine appreciation is a skill. It's the art of making others feel respected, acknowledged, and worthy. When you show someone that their efforts matter, you ignite a fire in them. You get their best. That's the power of appreciation. It's not about giving empty praise. It's not about saying good job just to fill the silence. Appreciation has to be real, it has to be specific, and it has to be sincere. People can spot fake praise from a mile away. When you show genuine appreciation, you're building trust. You're reinforcing their value. And that's influence. Show respect through gratitude if you want influence. You need to make gratitude a daily practice. Whether it's in your business relationships, friendships, or family, expressing gratitude should be second nature. Gratitude isn't something you do when it's convenient, it's something you do every day. Here's the thing, people work harder for you when they feel appreciated. They're more motivated, they're more invested. And you know why? Because they feel respected. When someone feels like their efforts are valued, they take ownership. They push past their limits. They go the extra mile. Let's be clear. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you. It's about being specific. It's about showing someone that you see what they've done and that it matters. If someone goes above and beyond in a project, don't just say, "Thanks for your help." Say, "I noticed how much time and effort you put into that presentation. It made a huge impact." That's the difference. That's what makes people feel like they matter. You don't need permission to show gratitude. You don't need to wait for a special occasion. You can express appreciation every single day. And when you do, you'll notice a huge difference in the relationships around you. People will trust you. They'll respect you. And most importantly, they'll follow you. Example of effective praise. Let me share an example. A few years ago, I was working with a colleague on a partnership. At the start, the relationship was weak. There was a lack of trust. We weren't communicating effectively and both sides were hesitant. But one day, after a successful collaboration, I decided to change the dynamic. Instead of just moving on to the next task, I took a moment to express appreciation. I said, "I really want to thank you for your hard work on this project. Your approach to the strategy and the way you managed the team were exactly what we needed. You're a true asset." It wasn't just a casual compliment. It was specific, heartfelt, and authentic, and it changed everything. After that, things shifted. We started working more closely. The lines of communication opened up. By acknowledging my colleague's value, I turned a weak partnership into a strong, lasting one. Over time, that appreciation turned into loyalty. That colleague became one of my biggest advocates, both professionally and personally. Why? Because I made them feel valued. That's the power of effective praise. When people feel respected, they stick with you. They become loyal. They go to bat for you. They give you their best. And they do it because they know you value them. Here's the bottom line. You have a choice. You can either ignore people's efforts or you can show them that their contributions matter. If you want influence, if you want loyalty, if you want respect, you need to practice the art of genuine appreciation. It's not about empty compliments. It's about real, specific, and sincere praise. Appreciate people every day. Make it a habit. Show gratitude not just when it's convenient, but as a part of your leadership style. When you express appreciation, you make people feel respected. And when people feel respected, they give you their best. That's the key to building lasting influence. You've learned the power of genuine appreciation. Now go out there and practice it. Show people you value their efforts. Recognize their contributions. Praise them specifically and sincerely. When you do this, you'll unlock loyalty, trust, and influence. You mastered the art of appreciation. Now let's talk about the next step. Chapter 11, The Power of Listening. Make people feel heard. Because influence isn't just about speaking. It's about listening, understanding, and making people feel like their voice matters. You've learned the blueprint, the foundation of winning friends and influencing people. It's not about manipulation or deceit, but about being genuine, listening, and making others feel important. Every relationship you have, from family to clients, can be improved by applying just a few of these principles. The question now is, are you willing to take the first step today? Walk into your next interaction with these tools, and I dare you to see the difference. Go out there and show the world you understand the power of influence. Remember, the only way to master influence is to practice it relentlessly. So take action now. Don't wait. Start building those relationships today.